It is time for the grand finale. It's time for the ending of The Wall. Pink Floyd, everyone, welcome back to the channel. You've been here for parts 1, part 2, part 3, and now you're here at the finish line alongside with me. I'm excited to see how this ends. I'm actually really curious to see how the story ends. Of course, I'm ready to get into the music, but I'm just curious to see, like, where does Pink end up after this, after his recently drugged up live performance. I'm just curious to see how this all ends here. I hope that you guys have enjoyed listening to the music alongside with me. I'm going to reiterate that again as we get towards the end, but thank you for spending so much time with me here. You know, I spend hours here on the channel, in the studio recording, editing the videos, and you guys spend the same amount of time with me watching the videos and listening to the reactions. And I appreciate you guys spending that time with me, because there are so many YouTube channels in general, so many places you could invest your time, and I appreciate you spending some of that, at least here with myself. So let's go ahead and get into the final side of the album. I'll probably let the first 2 tracks play together, and then we'll kind of play it by ear as we go. We're going to begin with The Show Must Go On. Pull up the track, press the play button, and here we go. I love those big harmonies in their singing. That's grand. I like that. Woo! And here, right back up there in the organ, just blazing out. Back at the hotel, and they stand us along as a surrogate band. Woo! Well, I think, from what I heard, it sounds like he made it through this show kind of fine. There was some questionable stuff happening in this show. I don't know what he was going on a rant about. Those drugs must have hit in a different way. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But going back to The Show Must Go On. So I really like how it comes off of Comfortably Numb, like, melodically. It keeps some of those same chords coming off of it, definitely tail-ending the energy from that last track and from the end of side 3. But it kind of does this in a nice kind of vapor trail way, where you still feel the effects of the previous track, but it's kind of left over in like these nice little spiritual and melodic echoes. I just think that was a really nice connection from the previous track. Like I said, keeping some of those same melodies and kind of taking that energy and bringing it down. Really enjoyed the band's harmonies as well in there. Ooh, they just sound so good, so sweet. They're all in unison. They all sound fantastic. And then moving into In the Flesh, of course, calling back to the opening track of the album, it sounds a lot dirtier, more raw, and at the same time a little bit more, for lack of a better word, like psychedelic a little bit in some ways in there. It's just as heavy, of course, with that main riff, that, you know, that main riff that's like that just keeps building up and elevating, and the way they lit off that steam afterwards, it just comes across as a really nice reprise of what was there before, but still sounding different, and, you know, different enough to warrant it coming back here on the end there. I want to get into these lyrics, because I'm now I might be a little bit confused. Now I might have lost myself, because The Show Must Go On, I'm kind of taking that as, okay, you know, you're on stage, you're doing your thing, and you're trying to make it through the show despite the journey that you've been going on in this wall that you've built up in your mind. It says here, rather, on the Wikipedia page, Waters wanted to create a Beach Boys type sound for the backing vocals, which actually makes a lot of sense, because I can see that's kind of what it sounded like. It says that it's the only song from the album which Waters does not perform any kind of instrument or vocal, although his voice is audible on unofficially released releases of the demo. And it says, as with other songs on the wall, The Show Must Go On tells a segment of the story of Pink. The song leads into In the Flesh, where the show is performed by Pink as he begins to mentally unravel and hallucinate that he is a fascist dictator. Okay, so that actually answers my question, because my next question was going to be the lyrics for In the Flesh and what the heck happened to Pink or whoever was talking at this moment, because there's some interesting points of view that happen in there. Basically, he goes on a little tirade and says every minority or foreigner should be shot. That's what he says there. I have no idea why. I don't know what happened, but apparently he's hallucinating at this particular point. And that's my question, like, okay, why is he hallucinating? I get the drugs and like hallucinations, but out of all the things that he could imagine himself being, why is he imagining himself as a dictator? Is this just his deep feelings coming out because of the drugs? Is there some more stuff brewing beneath the surface? I don't know. Seems like Pink may be a bit of a trouble character in some capacity. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. Maybe we'll get our answers here into the next track, which is Run Like Hell. Let me back it up just a little bit so we can catch the transition right about here. Whoa. I love how that guitar came in with all that reverb and echo. I got you. I like that little synth right there. That's nice. I can't tell if the band is happy with the performance, which I think so, because it sounds like happy sounds that we heard in the beginning and in the ending, like they're calling for an encore at the end. Or if he's running like hell because they were like, what are you saying? And there's like a riot or something going on. I have no idea. But regardless of the actual lyrics, music-wise, ooh, am I the only one that could hear like a disco remix with this song? Because it's kind of dancey. It has that punchiness to it. I love the way it, Mason brings in the extra kicks on the drums at certain points. Just a ba 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 like that is just a really great rhythm. Bass just pulsing along with it, and then the guitar with some echo or flange or whatever's going on, just putting it down, and then you have like it's just a nice collection. I just literally made sounds for everything that was just happening. It's just a nice collection of riffs, rhythm, and melody. And I like how singing-wise and delivery-wise, there's this kind of really at wit's end when it comes to the singing. Like, you can hear a little bit of strain, a lot of anger and passion in there. And I like how the vocals are a little bit unfettered. They're not like as polished or soft or subtle as some of the previous tracks. They're kind of just like the chains are breaking loose and we're just kind of screaming and yelling out. Not in necessarily like a metal, or hard rock kind of fashion, but just with this relentless abash. Like they're just like, like just screaming all the lyrics. I like that. And it perfectly relates and correlates to the actual music and the lyrics that are happening here. But let's see if we can figure out exactly what's happening at this point. So the crowd is chanting Pink Floyd, so there's a little bit of a fourth wall break there. Run, 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 run. You better make your face up with your favorite disguise, with your bottom down lips and your roller blind eyes, with your empty smile and your hungry heart. Feel the bile rising from your guilty past. So of course he's feeling bad about perhaps, maybe past views or past things that have happened. With your nerves in tatters as the cockle shell shatters and the hammers batter down your door, you better run. So is it the crowd that's kind of like throwing a riot and coming after him? Or is this kind of going back to his wall and the walls are kind of coming down that he built up? You better run all day and run all night and keep your dirty feelings deep inside. And if you're taking your girlfriend out tonight, you better park the car well out of sight, because if they catch you in the backseat trying to pick her locks, I just thought of a chastity about, they're going to send you back to mother in a cardboard box. You in trouble. You really better run. It says, on this particular track here, during a hallucination, which he becomes a fascist dictator and turns a concert audience into an angry mob. Yeah, all right. I gotta tell you, they sounded kind of happy with the performance, so maybe they liked the music, just maybe not exactly what he was saying in there. I have no idea. Let's see if the next track kind of brings us back in line, and that next track is going to be Waiting for Worms. Okay, so is he now just really back to kind of waiting for death? That's what I think when I see Waiting for Worms. Let's back it up just a smidge right about here, and let's go. Don't they sound happy, though? They don't sound like an angry crowd. Nice. Woo! Waiting. This little breakdown, this section. let's stop it there for a second. I would like to back up just for a quick moment to Waiting for Worms. Ooh, okay. Waiting for Worms is so heavy in its own way. Did you guys hear the ending? Obviously the build up to the end, but the ending with the chanting, the march, the heaviness from the bass and the guitar, that dun dun dun, the infuriated and impassioned calls through the megaphone, that is just like, woo, that is goosebumps. That is great. So I'm still missing a little bit on here on what's going on at this point. Oh God, musically that was just a really nice climax, like before the ending of the album, and of course bringing things to a complete halt and grind on the next track, Stop, for about 30 seconds or so. Okay, so I don't know if I think he's having a mental battle in here. I understand like the reference, like, okay, so we're getting a lot of Holocaust, World War II references in here, which of course are going to relate in some way to, the beginning of the album where he lost his father in World War II. So, we're getting a connection that way. And he's kind of, there's even German that's being said at, eins, drei, they're saying 1, 2, 3, let's go, basically. But there is a correlation between him losing his father in World War II, going to Germany, and then, him imagining himself as a fascist dictator bent on carrying out a Holocaust. So he's kind of viewing himself as his own father's enemy, in a way, or the force that killed his father, which means he's internalizing some guilt, perhaps, as well. So I think that maybe that's where all this is coming. I think. I could be so off on this. I don't think that he's internally, like, racist or hateful or anything like that. He might be, but I don't know. But I think he's just kind of imagining himself as the worst thing that he can imagine and the thing that killed his father and perhaps broke up his family. Right? Maybe I'm diving. Maybe I'm diving too deep. But how well do the lyrics for Waiting for the Worms work with the actual music? Like I said, the intensity of that chanting. When you see, like, I don't exactly know what they're called, but I guess you could say, like, political rallies, or, when, like, there's a country and, like, they have this march and this parade of their tanks and their soldiers and the military prowess and etc. Like, that's where I hear the ending of this music. Like, if you imagine a procession of military powers and tanks and stuff, that's what I'm hearing when I'm listening to this. The crowd is impassioned with patriotism, like, the dictators just yelling out. It's like that kind of sound, and the march rhythm. That's what I'm hearing, and that's what I'm seeing when I listen to this. So that's what I'm kind of singing. But when he says waiting for the worms, waiting for death, basically. And he says in no uncertain terms that if you want to rule, you have to wait for the worms, or wait for others to be dead. He says, "You cannot reach me now, no matter how hard you try. Goodbye, cruel world, it's over, walk on by." So now he has once again retreated fully behind this wall, sitting in a bunker here behind my wall, waiting for the worms to come in. Perfect isolation here behind my wall. And then you hear testing 1 2 1 2. The worms will convene at 1:15 outside Brixton. Town hall will be going in force. Then we get those references to, like, the Holocaust and the Gestapo, pulling people out of the homes, etc., to weed out the weaklings, the final solution. Like I said, a lot of references to that. And then everything calms down for a moment, and it says, "Would you like to see Britannia rule again? Would you like to see us rule again, my friend?" So I don't know if this is him internally kind of like saying, maybe I can fight this bad part of me. I have no idea. I have no idea at all. So back to that announcement that's going on. Now is the time to clean up the city, for this is the beginning. We need to secure our people. We'll break down the doors, hunt them where they are. Let's see. It says, at this point in the album, Pink has lost hope. His thinking has decayed. In his hallucination, he's a fascist dictator, fomenting racist outrage and violence. In the beginning and the end, the crowd chants "Hammer," a recurring representation of fascism and the violence in the wall. Okay, I know that this was released 1979, so this is, it's close, actually. But 1989, the Berlin Wall came down, if I remember correctly. That's the year. So even though this is before that, there's probably still a reference in some way to that wall, the wall. It just makes some sense there. Anyways, I still have no idea how this is all going to end. At this point, I mean, we've really gone what I would say is kind of off the rails, and I still have no idea where we're going to finish. But finish we shall with the last two tracks here on the album, The Trial and Outside the Wall. So is this a good Outside the Wall? Is it not a good Outside? Let's go ahead and find out listening to the ending of Stop right about here.
The crown will plainly show the prisoner who now stands before you was caught red. The evidence before
Whoa, 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 whoa.
incontrovertible.
Whoa.
Exposed before your peers. Tear down the wall. After all, it's not easy. Banging your heart against some.
Ooh! Ooh! Why did it go to Black Sabbath after that? Why would... Okay. Ooh! Ooh! Okay. I saw the line, right? The Isn't This Where? Of course, going right back to the beginning of the album. I saw that, and I'm like, when are they going to put that in? The way that it comes in so stark... I mean, it's kind of a jump scare. You put something like that, a moment like that in a horror movie... That's ending the movie with a twist. One of those last 2 seconds before it cuts to black and credits kind of films and kind of twist. And the way that the music was so peaceful and finally like at ease. And then it just isn't there. Like it just pops in. Ooh. That is good. Okay. Let's talk about The Trial really quick. So it is a complete change, a complete shift musically. We get into like this almost carnival-esque, circus-like sound, which at first like is not off-putting, but it's kind of jarring, right? It's like, oh, okay, we're kind of in something completely different, but the themes are the same. And if I'm getting kind of everything right, he's really having this whole struggle in his head, because I don't think, as far as I know, that there's been anything that he's done illegally to cause him to go to an actual trial. But he's having this struggle in his head where he's having all these testimonies and witnesses from people in his life, his wife, his mother, the schoolmaster. Like, he's having all these people coming into his mind and judging him. And his sentence is for that wall to be torn down and for him to be exposed to the world. Which, he goes through that. It's a struggle, obviously. But then there's a sense of peace when we get into outside the wall. Like, oh, finally, we've moved outside this wall. But then, Isn't This Where? Kind of brings this whole thing full circle. And is he just going to build up on another wall? You tore down one wall, but what's two more? Woo! That is so cool. And I was thinking about The Trial, and I was thinking about why it sounded the way it did. Why did it have to sound like a circus, carnival-esque kind of sound? And I think that like maybe there's a childlike nature in the way that Pink is kind of seeing himself, or maybe how the world sees him, and there's a little bit of like immaturity in there, like in the way that he's kind of cutting people off and such. So maybe that's part of it, or maybe this whole thing is like a play. This whole thing is just like a stage play, and that's like why the music is that way. I don't know, but I feel like there's a specific reason why it's like circus carnival music in that particular moment there. Also, when all the testimonies are being sung and all the witness accounts are coming through, I really like how for when the judge comes back in at the end to declare judgment against Pink, how heavy that music becomes. That's when you can feel that gavel just coming down and that sentence being passed, tear that wall down, which I'm just saying once again, I think is kind of, I know 1979, 1989, I know it's 10-year difference and this is before that happened, but tear that wall down. I'm just saying, I don't know when that was said. I'm pretty sure the wall came down 89 though. I'm 90% sure. Let's see. Let's see when that was said. Tear down that wall. When was that said? I'm just making sure. So that was said in 1987, obviously 8 years after the release of this album. Okay, so maybe he was a fan of Pink Floyd in this album? I don't know. And then once again, just to kind of reiterate, for Outside the Wall, it's peaceful. You have that children's choir coming back in, giving it this kind of sacred sound. It's very peaceful. It's like, wow, maybe Pink has finally found peace. And this judgment that was passed against him, this sentencing, will actually be for his benefit. I don't know, because it kind of comes back to it. It might be a little bit of an end of the twist. It says, unlike the other songs on this album, talking about Outside the Wall, this particular song offers little to the plot involving Pink as a whole. It notes that the only ones who really love you are standing outside the wall, and warns that if you do not tear down your metaphorical wall, some might eventually give up on you. This is what happens to the main character of Pink during the course of the album. Roger Waters himself has refused to provide any explanation when asked for one. I mean, with an album like this that has a story that you can clearly follow, it's very coherent, but you can kind of get a lot of like extra meanings out of it. You don't want the artist to, in a sense, kind of spoil that or tell you their point of view, because obviously the artist has a certain direction in mind, they have a certain idea in mind, and the audience might hear something completely different. Why muddy the waters? Everyone's interpretation is actually is just as valid. That was an incredible journey. Really, really good album. Hope that you guys enjoyed listening to the album with me. Listen, once again, let me grab it here. One more time. 30,000 subscribers. This is all you. It's a little dusty. Okay. This is all you. 30,000. The other goals that we met. This is all you, and I hope that this was a worthy a gift, for lack of a better word. Hope that you enjoyed going through the album with me, because I enjoyed listening to this. I enjoy your company. Hope that you enjoy mine. Please, 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 before you leave, press the like button. You're here at the ending of this full album listen, and that's the least you can do. Just press that like button. Please comment down below your favorite moment in the album, your favorite song, where this album lies in their discography for you personally. I would love to see your rankings. Oh, man. I feel good. Do you guys feel good? This was such a fun journey to take and such a fun album listen. So I truly hope that you guys enjoyed your time here with me. And if you're still here with me, thank you. Thank you for being part of the 30K. Of course, you're more than welcome if you wish to follow me over on Twitter. You can support the channel and what I do on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. But for this moment and for this moment only, I hope that you enjoyed yourself. Please come back tomorrow and have a great day, guys. Bye.